It's a popular topic. How to get kids to listen without yelling. Getting kids to listen is one of those topics that we refer to often here at Live on Purpose TV. And we've asked some of our family out there to chime in on this. 4 areas of how to get kids to listen. And we started out with this great question about how many times does it take to get kids to listen? Because we want them to listen the first time, right? So listen in. Obviously, we want them to listen the first time. But that's not the common experience, as you heard from some of our viewers. What is it that makes the difference? As you were listening in to some of these interviews, did you notice that when kids respond, it's because parents are serious? They're at a point where they know, the kids know, that something's going to happen now if I don't act. So the key here is not to get angry, not to yell, not to be mad, but simply to move the consequence up and tie it directly to the communication that you just gave. So you're speaking calmly, in a loving voice, right? Raise your eyebrows a little bit, keep a smile on your face as you say something that's going to happen, and your prediction is something that your kids can count on. What if you want your kids to clean up the room the first time you asked? What if you want them to put their toys away and come to the dinner table the first time you asked? What if you want them to get out of bed and get ready for school the first time you ask? Well, you ask nicely the first time, and then the consequence happens immediately. See, our kids train us sometimes. In fact, that's another interesting topic that we ought to take to our listeners. Let's listen in on this one.
All right, so how many times do you have to ask your kids to do something before they listen?
Oh, at least 3 to 5.
And then what's different about the 3rd or 5th time versus the first?
I get more aggressive, I guess. They know mom's not messing around.
But how many times on average would you say?
It was maybe 3 or 4 times. And then we would hit the button of, if you don't listen, you're going to regret it, basically.
Remember, how many times do you want to ask your kids before they respond? How about we get them to respond the first time? Yelling doesn't seem to help, does it? We asked some of our listeners about this too. Listen in.
Do you ever think that yelling is a punishment or a reinforcement?
Yelling is a waste of time. It absolutely. We had our kids. We had 3, and then a gap and 2. And when we had our 2 kids, we never yelled at them. We never smacked them. We just spoke to them like human beings, and they responded.
How do you feel about yelling?
With kids, I have 2 daughters. They're very sensitive, so I try not to yell, but I feel like sometimes you have to be forceful to get them to know you're serious, so it happens. Mm-hmm. I try not to.
No, doesn't get you anywhere.
Did your parents ever have to yell to get you to listen?
No.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was their secret? Because a lot of parents have to yell.
I just think yelling made us emotional, and so it didn't work. Mm-hmm. And so I think when they were more direct and more patient with us, we were willing to do things more because we did it out of a better spirit than if we were yelled at.
It's pretty much unanimous, folks. Yelling doesn't seem to work, and it's not something that we enjoy doing as a parent. So as we replace that with a calm communication, that might lead us into this next part that we got a particularly good response on: how to communicate to your kids so that they clearly understand what it is that you want. Listen to this one.
How do your kids know what you're saying is important?
I make them look at me. That's the main thing, eye contact. And if they want to wander, I'm like, no, mom's talking to you, look at me. And that's the main thing. Or I get down on their level. Mm-hmm. But eye contact for sure is the most important thing.
Okay, so how did you communicate with them so that they knew what you expected?
Well, when I would ask them to clean their room, or my son, because it's just one, I would say, because if you don't, I will. And
Also
I'll
that-
go through everything.
I like that.
So, yes, it got cleaned.
Don't you love her approach to this? It was very clear. It's basically a choice. Do you want to clean the room yourself, or would you rather that I clean it for you? This particular mom had done this enough with her son that he understood as soon as she said the communication about cleaning the room. He knew what was going to happen next because she probably had followed through before, I'm guessing. And that sends a clear message to kids about what to expect. So let me just add a few observations about communicating so that kids know what to expect. First of all, what they expect is what they have experienced. So what you say doesn't matter as much as what you've done in the past. And they probably won't believe you right up front. If you say, you know what, you can clean your room yourself, or I'll come in and clean it for you. Now, if they're used to having you just yell at them until they clean their room, that's what they're going to expect to happen. But we've just changed the rules on them. So instead of yelling, we're not going to do that. Remember, nobody likes that. It doesn't work anyway. Instead of the yelling, we're going to follow through on what we said. This is a concept that I refer to as turning your words from garbage into gold, so that you've just increased the value of your communication. They know exactly what's going to happen because you've just said what's going to happen, and they trust your words. So you say it calmly. Son, you can clean your own room, or I'll go clean it for you. Either way is okay with me. And I like to add that last little part. Remember, raise your eyebrows just a little bit, kind of a lilt to your voice. No problem, right? Meaning no problem for me, possible problem coming up for you, but I trust you to do your own thinking about that. And you only say it once, because how many times do you want to say it before your kids respond? Once. So you say it once and then you follow through with the consequence. When you've done that once, you've got a precedent now. And the next time this comes up, because it will, won't it? Your kids are going to give you another chance to practice this. The next time it comes up, as those words fall from your lips, your children will see those as gold instead of garbage. Why? Because of their experience. They've been there before, and they will remember that. That's where the learning will kick in for future experiences. We train our kids. Well, do we? Who trains who? Let's listen to what some of our viewers had to say about that.
Now, do you think that parents train their kids, or do kids train their parents?
We trained our kids because the things that we did with them, they're now doing with their children. We had a daughter that would say, I don't care. I'll say, the next time you say that is another 10 minutes added on. And she'd look at me and think, is he kidding? I don't think Dad's kidding.
But do you think that parents train their kids or kids train their parents?
Oh man, it's so both. I mean, kids are kind of in charge to a certain extent, I think, but I mean, it's our job to guide them, so I think it's a give and take, honestly. You learn from each other.
I tend to agree with this mom who said, well, it's obviously both. I think it is. Our kids train us, and we train our kids. We want to think that we're the ones doing the training, right? Because, I don't know, we've got some kind of ego tied up in this as parents. Just be humble enough to realize and recognize our kids are training us too. And the way you handle your kids is probably a reflection of what they've trained you to do, how they've trained you to treat them. So if they don't listen to you until the 12th time, they've basically trained you to say it 11 times before you get serious. Wow. Knowing that might sting just a little bit, but let that sting open up your mind to the possibility that you are trainable as well. Don't be so prideful to think that you're the only one who's training your kids. Your kids are training you too. Being aware of that puts us in a position of choice. And now we can respond differently to the training that's already going on, and probably create some different outcomes too. I'm so honored to be on your parenting team. My wife and I have collaborated to put together a positive parenting course where you get to learn more about how to get your kids to listen without yelling and other important skills that we all need as parents. Check it out in the description below.